welcome to my channel. Today I want to show you how to brew Pu Erh tea Gong Fu style. And I have a typical Gong Fu set up here with a small teapot, a pitcher, a strainer, and 2 cups, with one being a smelling cup and one being a drinking cup. The only item that's missing from my Gong Fu setup is a Gong Fu table, which is usually made out of bamboo. A Gong Fu table has little holes in it and a plastic container that holds up all this liquid, since Gong Fu style brewing requires a lot of rinsing and pouring in, pouring out. So you need to have some larger container to hold all this water. But since I'm going to be brewing tea just for myself today, I think just this simple setup should work. What is a Pu Erh tea? Pu Erh tea is a naturally aged black tea. And there are two different types of Pu Erh tea. One called Pu Erh, which is a cooked tea, which is not that old. And then is a Pu Erh, which is a very old, naturally aged and pressed Pu Erh tea. Pu Erh tea is a black tea that is produced in Yunnan Province in China, and which is a motherland of the most exquisite teas in China. And Yunnan Province is high up in the mountain and has the most amazing soil there, which is like a mahogany color, which is full of minerals, the different very interesting compounds that produce that beautiful tea. There are some ancient trees in Yunnan Province, and a tea tree is a very slow growing tree, so you can imagine if the tree is about 8 feet tall, it must be at least 1,000 years old. And an interesting fact that only a certain people from a very ancient tribe permitted to pick from these ancient trees. And of course the tea that's from that old tree is going to cost a lot of money. Today we are going to be experiencing a Pu Erh tea that is not that old. I think it's about maybe 5 years old, and it's pressed into little tuchas, which is usually shaped in the shape of a little bowl or a nest, and they're just little tiny portioned out of Pu Erh tea there. To brew Pu Erh tea, we're gonna need a boiling water, and the water should be kept at about 195 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 100 degrees Celsius. And when you boil water for Pu Erh tea, it has to come to the boil, and after that, do not let it boil for a long time. Just turn your teapot off, unless you have a teapot like mine, which has a temperature selection on it, and there's one button that just says black tea. And it will stop the boiling process when the water reaches 195 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit temperature. So what we need to do before we start brewing the tea, we need to warm up our tea setup here. So we're just gonna put a teapot in a small container, and once again, if you have a Gong Fu table, it would be much easier, because then you would just place your teapot on the Gong Fu table and let the water run out. So we're gonna take a boiling water, we're gonna pour water inside the teapot, and we're gonna pour it out. And the same we're gonna do with our pitcher. Pour the water in, and pour the water out. And the same with all our little utensils here. So our strainer, and our cups. And since the cups are much smaller and they don't have little handles, a little tongs like this would be useful because you could just grab it and pour the water out. This way you don't burn your fingers. So our tea setup is pretty much ready for us to experience the Pu Erh tea. And I'm gonna take one little cake out. And it's a little small cakes like this. They're usually wrapped individually in parchment paper. And would you look at that? Mine is actually shaped like a little nest. It's actually a little nest from this side and a little bowl from that side. So that portion should be enough to brew in this little teapot like this. So what we need to do first, we need to put our Pu Erh tea inside. Oops, sorry. And pour the hot water in. And what we usually do with the Pu Erh tea, we need to rinse it out, because you guys cannot see, but I can see there's a lot of debris on top of that tea. So what we need to do, we need to pour this water out. What it does, it rinses our tea and it wakes up our tea leaves for further brewing. And when you pour it out, make sure you pour every single last drop out. So let's see what happens with our leaves. Sometimes this process can be done several times. It depends on how old your Pu Erh tea is. Mine is not that old, so I think one rinse would be enough. And for our brewing, we're gonna pour some hot water in, and we need to wait about 10 seconds for the first brewing. Then you can put your strainer in, about 10 seconds. And once again, when you pour it, make sure you pour every single last drop of water out. Okay? And I have this glass container for you guys to see what the color of the tea is. As you can see, it has to be this rich mahogany color, and it has to be clear. If your tea is somewhat cloudy, you might have to rinse it one more time, but mine was pretty clean. So as you can see, my tea soup here is very clear, so it's pretty much ready to be experienced. And I'm gonna use this water, this tea that I was showing you, for my smelling cup and to rinse out my drinking cup. So we're just gonna pour this out, smell it. And the Pu Erh tea has a very unique smell. It has a smell of like an autumn leaves. It's just very earthy. It's very beautiful. And then you can experience the Pu Erh tea. Very good. Just a little history lesson for you guys. The most expensive Pu Erh tea that was ever found and actually sold at the auction was produced in the early 1900s, and it was sold at the auction for a little bit over $1 million. So you can imagine a little teapot like this of that ancient Pu Erh tea will cost you about $4,000. It's just pretty amazing. Somebody bought it, and somebody actually has experienced this whole ancient tradition. The rinsing of the Pu Erh tea is functional and ceremonial. The reason we rinse the Pu Erh tea, we pretty much discard the first brew, is just to wash off the leaves, since it is a very aged tea and it's been kept in the little bricks for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. We need to wash the leaves off, pretty much just wash all this Mother Nature things that been accumulating on these little cakes. And the ceremonial way of rinsing is for you to show a respect to your guests, so they know that the tea is clean for them to drink. And it also helps the tea leaves to open up. And the reason we pour every single drop out, just to stop the brewing process and prepare the tea for the second or third or fourth brew. And there's a little rule to brew a Pu Erh tea. So your first brew has to be at about 10 seconds, and every other one will be increased by 5 seconds or 10 seconds, depends on the color of your tea. And when you look at your tea, it still has to remain that kind of mahogany color. Let's talk about health benefits of Pu Erh tea. Pu Erh tea can help you to reduce cholesterol and also can help your digestion. For example, if you had a very large meal and after that meal you will drink a cup of Pu Erh tea, it will help you to digest your food faster. And because this tea is very old, and the way it's produced, and because it's steamed and then it's pressed, so all this oil that is in the tea leaves goes inside the actual dry tea, and when you pour the hot water over it, it wakens up all this beautiful flavors and gives you so much energy. And it is just wonderful tea. It is very exquisite tea. Not for everybody to understand, but I hope you will try it, and I hope you will experience this wonderful tradition of a tea making. I'm gonna brew it a second time, and we'll see what the color is gonna look like. Gonna prepare my glass container here. So this is the second time. We're brewing in 5-second increments. So we're just gonna brew it for a little bit longer. And normally during your brewing process, you will not talk. It's also showing respect to your guests if you're brewing the tea for them, and sort of praying for your health, for health of your family, for health of your loved ones, and for well-being of your friends. So it's a very ceremonial. That's why a lot of people like to brew tea this way, which is called a Gong Fu style. So we're gonna look at this tea. As you can see, it's still a very rich, dark mahogany color of the tea. So this little cake, the little tucha that I brewed, can be brewed up to 10 times. So you get a lot of use out of this tea, and you get to experience it multiple times. So I hope you guys love this video. I am planning to do more tea videos for you. If you like this type of videos, give me a thumbs up. And please subscribe to my channel. I have a lot in store for you. And thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye.